Good morning. People hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Perfect. All
Good
right.
morning.
Good morning. I didn't know if Andy was on here yet. I'm not the most prolific person trying to get on these calls as far as for getting to the links. Let's see. All right. So, do you guys know if have you guys been on for a few minutes or?
Yeah, I've been on about 2-3 minutes.
Oh, have you? All right, Glenn. I didn't know. I didn't know if Andy was on and then it was dropping back, dropped off or dropped back on or not. When you guys got on, was it just the both of you two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So is that is that Mikhail?
Yeah, it says Mikhail and Janet. Janet's my wife, but she's not joining. It just was saved that way from a while back when we had our pre-wedding
Oh,
meetings via Zoom with our planner. So, but yeah, my name is Mikhail.
Mikhail. Nice to meet you. Now, Mikhail, I don't think you've ever been on this call before, have you?
No, it's my first time.
Perfect. And right, yeah. Usually we get started a little bit after 9, and I try to get on a little bit ahead of time just to make sure.
Right. Got you.
And people will be joining us. And I know, Glenn, you've been on here before, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I don't know if Scott Spear is going to be getting on the call with us. I know he's still on the West Coast, living his RV lifestyle. So I know right now over there, I don't know if they're 2 hours behind. I don't know if he's in Colorado or if he's in California. If he's in California, it's 5:45 in the morning there. I don't know if he's going to get on, but we'll see. So and then obviously, people will be coming on here in the mornings. So are both of you now? I know, Glenn, you're from Rochester. Mikhail, what about you?
I'm from Brooklyn originally. I recently moved to Florida, so I'm in Florida now. I'm in South Florida, in Hollandale Beach. Moved here about 7 months ago.
Oh, okay. So how'd you hear about us?
I actually used to travel up to Rochester a lot over the last couple of years. I have some friends up there. And I think I came across this the
FREIA website.
The FREIA website on Bigger Pockets. Actually, I was looking a wholesale thread, and I think I had been looking at Rochester probably for like the last 3 or 4 years in terms of trying to get my foot into real estate, and kind of Rochester being a lower barrier entry. So yeah, that's how I found the site on Bigger Pockets.
Perfect.
And actually I was super happy to find it because seems like there's a bunch of resources and these meetups happening. I'm hoping to come up to Rochester in the next week or so to be able to attend one of the meetups.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Yeah. So whereabouts is Hallandale, Florida? Where is that?
So Hallandale is about 20 minutes from Fort Lauderdale. So I fly into Fort Lauderdale Airport, and then it's like 20, 15-minute drive down to Hollandale. So it's right between like Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Sorry, my daughter is.
I know it's hot down there.
Oh yeah, it's been super, super hot, like unbearably.
Wow.
I don't think I've been to, like this area in the summertime before. I think this might like around this time might be my first time. Sorry, my daughter is having a morning.
No problem.
Till breakfast time, so she's yelling at me to hurry up. But yeah, it's nice here, but it is hot right now.
Perfect. Let me do this here. And by the way, I know we're going to be talking about this, but there's for those of you that are coming on, and I'll be mentioning it throughout the call, there's a chat section. Make sure you put your name and phone number in there so people can actually connect with you. So make sure you guys do that.
Should we wait till more people join, or will they be able to see it retroactively?
Yeah, you can put that on. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I mean, we're all early here. We just like to get on. We'll talk or do whatever until about 9 o'clock. We can, feel like this call is more personable versus being more regimented. It's made to connect, talk, and network.
Got you. What's your story, Joe?
I am a wholesaler, fixer, flipper. I do commercial. I do residential. We do a lot, and we're also do storage. Just bought my first storage facility last week that I'm owner of, and also do apartment complexes.
Congrats!
A little bit of everything.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. I think Andy, are you on?
I'm on. Hi, Joe. How are you?
How are you?
So how's that storage facility feel?
Feels good. Thanks. Appreciate that. Andy was one of the lenders on that storage facility in Alabama. So thank you very much.
It's a good one, man.
It is actually. I'm very excited.
I kind of wish we had that money in cash, so I didn't have to just watch on the sidelines while you guys like triple your money.
Oh man, we're excited about that one.
That one's got a lot of opportunity for sure.
Oh, yes, it does. I can't say that without smiling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good one.
and thanks to you. Appreciate it.
No. You guys found the deal. The money would have been there whether it was me or somebody else.
Well, hey, you helped out.
I'll take it. A win's a win.
Joe, once more people get on, do you mind talking a little bit more about that storage facility, the process that how you got it, all that good stuff?
Yeah, we can talk about that. And as we get on, by the way, we kind of I'm going to be talking about flipping houses, but prior to that, we're definitely answering some questions. I like to keep this open because we gear this toward a lot of questions that are being sent to us, or people will call us up and say, "Hey, Joe, what about this or what about that?" And I'm like, okay, if I'm getting calls on this from a few people, there's got to be other people wondering about that. So we do, people have questions. This is the place to ask. Okay. Just because we want to talk about flipping houses, sometimes we'll maybe steer off a little bit. We'll talk about deals or whatever. We want to make sure we gear this toward the people who actually need to have their questions answered here, Caitlin. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, we can. I apologize. Oh, man.
It's not even Friday, Joe. What's going on?
You know what? I hate 3-day weekends. I hate 4-day weekends. And the only good thing about Fridays, it means only 2 more days till Monday. I don't like those kinds of, because everything is shut down.
It's true.
And I learned.
I worked out every day this week.
Yeah. There you go. You know, like for me, when I was working, I wanted to get out of my job in construction. Every day that the banks and attorneys were closed was one day longer. I had to keep working for my construction job, at my construction job. So after a while, I was like, man, people are like, thank God it's Friday. Then they wanted to kill me when I said, yes, thank you, God, because it's only 2 more days till Monday. And say that to a bunch of construction guys. You better
That makes sense. Yeah, right.
You better run to your car.
That's funny. That's funny. That's all right.
And true.
That's all right. Oh, Joe, guess what?
What?
I got a message from the Best Ever podcast, and I'm going to get pegged to be on there sometime in the next like 2 or 3 weeks.
Really?
Best Ever CRE. Yeah, it was weird. It was random. Like LinkedIn message came in. I was like, wait, what?
Andy, you are a wealth of knowledge, man. You know your brain. I don't know how your brain holds everything that you have.
You're making my brain hurt right now, Joe.
This
Stop
is
it.
true. Let me tell you something. If I was
It's
in
the
school,
ADHD.
if I was in school and you were in my class, I'd be like, hey, instead of just barely graduating, because I'd be copying off of you, I'd be doing something. Because I'm telling you, the statistics and the numbers and the knowledge that you have and everything that you deal with, to me, is just incredible. I
appreciate that. Very, very kind. I don't know either. It's all because of my abnormal brain. It's fine.
Oh my God.
It also is the same reason I have too many hobbies.
I have no hobbies.
It's all right. No, work is your hobby.
Yeah, people say, what's your favorite color? Real estate. What's your favorite food? Real estate. It's a sickness.
Yeah. It's something. Oh, a newsletter went out from the REIA website yesterday through, I think, Constant Contact. So there was bad information on there. We just need to clarify there is no morning meeting at Ezzy's on Buffalo Road this month. That meeting is dead. We cancel it on the website, and we're going to send out just a reminder that it's not happening tomorrow, I think. So
okay. Is that just for this month only, or is it?
No, it's a dead meeting. They're combining it. So Pat and Carl and Beth are going to combo up and combine the 2 meetings and do it on their own, or as like a one big happy evening meeting, because like 8 people were showing up to that meeting.
Okay.
So
it was the best meeting of the week, though.
It was, but they killed it. So it's done.
Yeah, I got a call from Dolores telling me that it was permanently canceled. So,
yep.
Okay. So basically,
unfortunately,
yep.
Basically, only evening meetings for that.
For that one, yeah. There's a couple of other meetings that are in the works that they're going to talk about at the Eagle Vale meeting next Thursday, or 2 Thursdays from now, whenever it is. Wait, no, it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah. But that's the big change right now. So Coffee Club is still happening. These meetings are still happening. Yeah, I mean, we still have meetings every week, and then there's a possibility there might be something with Jared, possibly, or with Tim Odell, or maybe both. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Not to interrupt you, Andy, but I just got a call, all of a sudden 2 calls and a text message. Shaquana was trying to get on the meeting, but says the link is invalid. I don't know. She just tried calling me. And
I had to copy it off the website and paste it into a browser. That worked for me.
Let me see here now. Copy and paste. Paste the what? The link?
Yeah, just go right to the website and just highlight it, copy it, and then paste it into a browser.
You're like I even know the word link. Oh man. Well, hopefully she'll be able to get on.
Andy, you're on mute. I see you trying to list moving.
Oh, I was just saying, what link is she trying to use? Is it from the REIA website, or is it the one on Facebook?
I don't know. Let me see here now. God, she just sent me a copy of it, and I'm like, this is what it shows.
This meeting is being recorded.
I
That
don't
was loud.
know.
The one on Facebook is working.
Okay, use Facebook link.
Let's try this one. I'm gonna try the other one just to see what happens.
I feel bad.
I don't know what link she's using. The one on the website and the one on Facebook are
This meeting
both.
is being recorded.
See, loud, but they're both working. So I don't know where she's getting a link from.
I don't know. She's on the website.
That's odd. Yeah, I just copied and pasted the one from the website, so that's kind of weird.
Can you send that to me? I'll forward it to her.
Yeah, I'll email it to you.
Are you emailing or texting?
I'll email it. I don't have it up on my phone. I'm on my computer.
All right. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know. We got to get started here. Well, it's only a couple minutes too. We got to get started here in a couple of minutes. So
Yeah.
I'm sure because I had issues trying to get on.
If you pre-register though, the pre-registration email should take you right to the link. That's what I did.
Yeah, that's kind of and it's the same link every single month now. It doesn't change like it was. And there's no like Zoom pre-registration where you have to go and fill out all the crap. So I'm not sure where she's getting the link from. That's no good.
No, I just sent it to her. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, obviously, because not everybody knows. A few months ago, we got Zoom bombed, which from all these pranksters. So that's why we had to go to, Andy had to set up security measures because it was really bad. I think I heard the last time it got like 400,000 or 500,000 views already.
Oh my God.
Some crazy amount of views. I was like, oh my God, people telling me about a week or two ago about it. I'm going, oh my, I'd forgotten all about it. But we used to be an open link and they had to put in place security measures for that. So we've had issues with people getting on, but let's see what we can do. Hopefully she'll be able to get on. So, all right. So we'll see about getting started here. Oh. I'm getting the same error message. Just getting the same message. Don't know. Sorry. All right. I don't know if Scott Spears even on. I don't think
I haven't seen him on yet.
I did
just have her
text him.
reboot her computer or whatever. And she's having issues. That sounds like it's on her end.
Yeah. Let me tell her. Okay, and that's the last thing I'm going to do. Reboot. I'm the last person to talk to about computers. So, all right, we're gonna get started over here. I know there's probably gonna be more people joining us as we come on board here. Scott Spear, he is on the West Coast. A lot of times he'll try to jump on. Scott and I usually do this call together. Hopefully he'll join in. But this is the alternative real estate investment meeting. Basically, we talk about, most people know, for those of you who don't know, we focus on everything having to do with real estate, except for tenants and toilets. Tenants and toilets we kind of steer away from. Here, we like to focus on, I don't care if it's wholesaling, flipping, commercial, residential. I don't care if it's talking about, making money on a deal or negotiating or marketing. The meat and potatoes and nuts and bolts of what's really going on here with real estate. Okay. There is a whole separate meeting for the landlords or for the housing providers. Obviously, if you go onto the website, ffreia.com, it'll give you more information. I know last month, Carl, Beth, and Pat had it at I-Square. I don't know if it's going to be at I-Square again this month or if it's going to be at Ferrari's Pizza. Do you know, Andy?
As far as I know, it's back at Ferrari's, just because Ferrari's is still free.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not sure if there's been a decision officially. I guess we'll find out on Monday if
Okay.
there's been a decision officially as to whether or not that's moving forward at I Square.
Okay. Well, check out the website, ffreia.com. You want to know about tenants and toilets and landlords, that's the place to go. Carl has probably done, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 plus properties, probably more than that in 38 years. Beth and Pat, they own Gallagher Property Management. They manage over 700 units. And these three know a lot about landlord. You want to know about it? Go there and they'll tell you anything you want to know till your heart's ever so content. Okay. Next month or next week, we're going to be having the general meeting. That is going to be, it's changed. It's going to be at Eagle Vale Country Club. So make sure you guys get on the website, check that out. It starts at what? Is it, Andy, 5 o'clock?
5:30.
5:30.
Yep.
There is a ton of networking. We grew out of Ferrari's Pizza. There must have been, I don't know, 70, 80, 90 people there. People were turned away. It was a good issue to have. At the same time, we needed to make sure that there was enough room for everybody to be there. So Eagle Vale Country Club in Fairport, 5:30 to about 7 o'clock is networking.
Yep.
7 o'clock to about 7:45-ish.
It's all networking. This first one, it's all networking. So like Matt and Jake might talk a little bit about the changes and what's going on, but as far as I'm aware, there's no like official speaker topics, nothing. It's just shake hands, kiss babies, meet people, do business, get updates on what's going on with REIA as far as all the meeting changes and venue changes and upcoming events. Like I think the picnic is next month. So they'll talk a little bit about that and some of the political crap that's going on in the state. And I think that's about it.
Perfect. And that's going to go to what, about 8
till they kick us out at 9, I think.
Okay.
So I would say plan to be exiting Eagle Vale by 9:30 at the latest and heading to probably another bar or something if you're still looking to network.
Yeah. Fairport, there's tons over there, and for those of you who've never been to one of those, get there. That group does an unbelievable amount of real estate the public will never, ever find out about, ever. Okay. But yeah, that is definitely something you want to definitely, take a look at. And then we also do this meeting live the third Thursday of the month. So that's going to be in the evening. It's at Ferrari's Pizza. That one network, you usually get to like around 6:30. It starts at 7 o'clock, goes till about, like to be done around 8:30. And then afterwards, also do networking. I'm going to do networking before, networking afterwards. I know last time we were there till like 10 o'clock, we got kicked out because they shut down. So
yeah,
it was great networking. Okay. And then anything else that I forgot about, Andy?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I think you're good. I think we're covered.
Perfect.
If people have questions, they can go to freia.com/calendar. I'll put the link up in the comments.
Perfect. All right. So, by the way, I got to start off with this. Anything we go over, anything we talk about, make sure you consult your attorney. Make sure you consult your accountant. Don't take what we say as gospel. We give people the best information that we can. And I always say this, what may work for you may not work for me and vice versa. So please, whatever you do, consult your accountant, consult your attorney. Okay. Real quick here, because this one great thing about this group, and I talked about it before everybody else got on over here, make sure you get on the chat box, put in your name, put in your phone numbers, make sure you're able to connect. Okay. Because if we don't know how to give you a call or know how to connect with you, we're not going to call you. Okay. I want to just start off real quick here. I know there was Mikhail, who's a new person. What I want to do is really quick, like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever, just name what you're doing in real estate. and where you're calling in from. Any new people here? Don't be shy. Who do we see new here? Mikhail, are you unmuted or are you muted?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. So
All right, real quicker, introduce yourself, where you're calling in from, and what you're looking to do in real estate. Let us know, please.
yeah. Hi everybody. I'm Mikhail from I'm calling in from Florida, originally from Brooklyn. Moved here about 7-8 months ago. And I'm getting started in wholesaling at the moment. But not limiting to that, hoping to, possibly fix and flip or fix and rent sooner than later. But yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. Perfect. Anyone else that's new on here, real quick? Don't be shy. That's it. All right. We're gonna get started. What I want to do real quick is do has and wants. If you have anything you're looking to sell, let us know. If you have anything that you want to buy, or what type of properties you want someone to call you about, please let us know here. Again, if you don't tell us, I promise you, we're not going to call you because we just don't know. We'll call whoever did speak up. This is the great thing about this group. It's very personable and very intimate. So who wants to go first? Let us know real quick here.
I'll get this spiel out of the way, Jeff.
Go ahead, Gabe.
I'm Gabriel, and I am a self-storage buyer, and I'm always looking for self-storage. About, I would say 70 units and up would be a good caliber, but any size I can make work, and anywhere in the United States, especially our own backyard here in the greater Rochester area. In addition to if anyone comes across one, and knows someone that would like to sell, we pay finder's fees, and whatever, we'll be more than happy to take a look, and if the numbers work, we'll make a win-win situation for everybody. So what I'll do is I will put my contact information in the chat box, so that if when someone drives across and knows someone that wants to sell their property, their self-storage, to call me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gabe. Who else? Who's got a Christmas wish list in real estate?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shaquana. I am coming on. I'm a wholesaler, and I am looking for cash buyers. Looking to see if there's anyone out there that are looking for some properties, what areas we're looking at, what kind of homes we're looking to buy. And I put my contact information in the chat box.
Perfect. So glad to see you finally made it on, and you have Andy to thank for that, not me.
I had to download the Zoom app in order to get on the link. I couldn't just do it. So I had to download it onto my iPad. So it's working now. Thank you.
Perfect. Who else? All right, I'm going to go. We got some shy people on here tonight or this morning. I look for all kinds of properties. I buy fire damage properties. I also do a ton of wholesaling, so I do get rid of properties when I don't, when they don't fit my needs or when I have too much going on. I'm also looking for more rentals. I'm also looking for storage facilities. We're also looking for apartment complexes. We do pay referrals. We pay assignment fees. And I also do wholesale out properties. I do in the city, I do in the suburbs. Oh, and I'm also looking at certain types of industrial type warehouse properties also. If you know of any, when it comes to storage all over the country, apartment complexes and more right now here locally in the Rochester, Monroe County, Wayne County. I mean, within upstate New York area, and then houses. Usually we're over here, within this area also. Good, bad, ugly, whichever. Anyone else? Don't be shy.
I have a quick question, Joe. On market stuff, do you typically would you be interested in on market stuff as well? I know a lot of buyers are kind of stray away from on market stuff, but from what I'm understanding in the Rochester markets, especially, is there's a lot of on market deals that I'm seeing that are actually really good and that have a decent amount of room for negotiation. So just want to know your thoughts on that.
So that is an unbelievably fantastic question, and I'm going to get to that. I just want to make because that is a great question because I get that. But I just want to give people one more minute here or less here to see if they want to put out what they're looking for. Because right now, the only people I'm going to call right now so far is Dave, Shaquana, and Mikhail. That's it. Anybody else? Okay. Forever hold your peace. Oh, and by the way, we keep this live and interactive. Okay. So if you have questions about a deal or even like a great question that Mikhail just asked, don't be afraid to put it out there. And because, we want to learn from each other. And by the way, I do not want to be the only one talking on this Zoom call. Okay. Again, interactive. That's the way we learn. I'm still learning. Everybody on here is still learning. Okay. So Mikhail, your question there, 99% of the stuff that I get personally, I don't get on the MLS. Now, I have gotten properties on the MLS. The funny thing about it is that yesterday, believe it or not, this is just yesterday, we had somebody send us a property. It was from a newer wholesaler, and they sent us this property in the suburbs over here in Rochester, about 10, 15 minutes from me here. And they were asking, it was like 230 or something $1,000, whatever it was for this property. Said the ARV was somewhere around 300, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden we looked it up. It was on the MLS. And they had tacked on, I don't know, $25,000 or $30,000 onto the price of that property. And, and so I wanted to be respectful. Obviously we didn't do anything with the property. I mean, I could have just gone, I could have paid $25,000, $30,000 less just by going right to, right to the source. Okay. A lot of times, and I have bought properties on the MLS and I have wholesaled them out. At the same time, if it was something that they were advertising for 150 and I was able to get it, let's just say for 90 or 100, and there was a good enough spread on there, I was able to wholesale that out. Okay. And then you got to be careful. Like for me, I like to be careful if I'm buying something, from the MLS, because a lot of times, especially the real estate agents, they're like, "Oh, Joe, the house next door, the house around the corner, it's sold for for $50,000 above asking." And then I want to look. I'm like, okay, when was it? Was it last year when things were going crazy? Everybody was paying above asking, and right now people are still paying above asking. At the same time, things are kind of, you have to be very careful. Okay. I looked at a property where the realtor brought me something and he said, "Oh yeah, listen, you're going to make this and this and this. This is what this one sold." And then I went back and I saw it and I told the guy, this sold 8 months ago at that price when things were going out of their minds. I can't figure that. And I say this all the time. I don't make my maximums my minimums when it comes to buying a property. I make my minimums my maximums because it protects me. That's what I feel good about. With other people out there who want to take a chance, more power to you. I'm not that person, and I want to hear from other people. Have other people been buying stuff off the MLS? You finding deals off the MLS right now?
I haven't necessarily been able to wholesale anything off the MLS currently, but what I have noticed is that there are certain properties that are in distress that maybe have been on the MLS like longer than probably expected. And I usually tend to find that probably targeting some of those properties that are sitting a lot longer. Like I think I saw one maybe the other day that sat for like 200 and something days on the MLS. So, stuff like that, I'm kind of like looking at to try to see like, okay, well, maybe they'll accept something lower than what they initially wanted because they might not be having any movement on this property. So I guess like that's one way to kind of strategize when looking at some of the ones that are already like on the MLS.
Yeah, that's great. And Shaquana, I'm sure you ever wonder why they've been on the market for 200 days in this crazy market?
Right. Right. So it got to be a lot going on with it, I'm sure. But that's what I was saying. So you might be able to offer a dirt cheap offer because this person might not be having any movement on this property. They might not get exactly what they were looking to potentially profit from it. But, after being renovated and fixed, it just depends on, who you're wholesaling to and what
Yeah.
they're looking at as far as, how much they want to take on. If it's too much of a big project where they're like, nope, I don't want to, it's too much going on. Or a lot of people sometimes are like, we can fix this and then this can turn into, multi-unit where there's multiple, units that I can utilize. So I guess it just depends.
Yeah, yeah, you're 100% correct. And I have a friend of mine, he's done probably 20 properties off the MLS in the last probably 8 or 9 months, maybe 10 months that he bought, and all below what they were asking because they were sitting on it. Now he goes after, the not so nice areas. So it's a little bit different of a market, and he has the wherewithal to handle that. So you got to be careful. The ones in the suburbs, which I'm sure there is an unbelievable amount of competition for. Okay. Now, Mikhail, the ones that you're looking at on the MLS, are you looking at the ones in the city, or are you looking at the ones in the suburbs? What are you finding?
So the ones I'm looking at, they're mostly. I don't know Rochester well enough to be a say whether it's in the city or the suburb, but
Okay.
like the Northeast Quadrant, like 19th Ward area, maybe Lyle Otis area.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's considered city or suburb there, but yeah, those areas specifically, especially the Northeast Quadrant, I'm seeing like a lot of distressed properties that are on the MLS, like Shaquana said there. They might have been sitting for 110 days or 60 days or above 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is considered the city. There are good parts and bad parts of the 19th ward. I own in the 19th ward. I've done in that area there. I've probably done altogether between both sections probably 70 plus properties, and so you have to really know which is and you'll learn, And I tell people if it's sitting on the market, there's a reason why. And I don't care if you're doing commercial or residential. There's a reason why.
Right. And I'm also noticing there's a lot of properties owned by, I guess, groups, or it's owned by like an LLC or like a corporation. And then I'll go on the tax, like the Rochester City, tax assessment website, and I'll click around properties. I'll search the owner. If I find one house and I see that it's owned by an LLC, so I'll just search all the other properties that's owned by that company. And it seems like they'll have one or two properties on the MLS listed. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of them. For instance, I came across one a couple of weeks ago. It was listed for 31, and I got in touch with the agent, and he couldn't represent me on this one, but he said he would refer someone. So I just decided to go with somebody that I knew. So we put in an offer about 8,000 lower, and they immediately was like, we're not gonna entertain that kind of at all. But within a few days, they turned around and he got back to me and was like, yeah, they're reconsidering now. So the way I'm seeing it is I just re-signed the contract again. So hoping that they actually accept the offer. So I'm kind of looking at that, like, these people probably just want to, be done with this property by now. It's been sitting there for a little while. So I don't know, fingers crossed, but that's been my experience.
So quick
So far.
question, what are you going to do with that property?
I'm hoping to wholesale it. Worst case, I'll close.
So just quick question, is it vacant or occupied?
It's vacant. It needs a full rehab.
You don't have to tell us the street, but whereabouts?
It's in 19th Ward. I mean, not 19th Ward. It's in Northeast Quadrant. I don't know. Like, let me look at the map.
It's all right. I was just wondering.
It's in the north. It's in the Northeast Quadrant.
Just I see people. You got to be careful because if it didn't sell for 31, and then it needs a full rehab, but it sold for 23.
Yeah,
you're going to wholesale it out. Sometimes I talk to wholesalers like, well, I want to put 5,000 on it, which you have every right to.
Right.
If they're considering yours, that means they may have gotten offers lower than yours. You don't know. So just be very careful because in theory, the numbers work, and then all of a sudden,
right.
That's in,
originally I wanted to offer even lower, but agent was like, I don't know, they might not.
But I'm not trying to scare you, by the way, either.
No. I definitely appreciate the the insight, just like to just be aware.
I've personally purchased, I'm sure other people have, many properties from people who come in from out of state. They get a house under contract and then they realize, because then they want to wholesale it out and they send people there. And then the realtor doesn't want to know that you're wholesaling it out because they'll freak out. And then you got to get them in there. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, this guy, they're not going to close on it. And I get the phone call. And I'm not the only one that's ever gotten those phone calls. So you got to be, you have to be able to be able to work with that real estate agent. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was transparent from the beginning, so hoping that helps.
Perfect. Oh yeah, if they know you're wholesaling it, perfect. So you're good.
Yeah.
Who else has some? Go ahead.
I had a question about just wholesaling to a buyer that doesn't have cash, but they're like working on getting a loan. I know that I haven't personally done a deal like that myself. I just want to know if like maybe you have and kind of like what that looks like, because I know it's a little bit different when they have like, those loans coming from the bank and etc. So want to know kind of like how that works when you're not working with a cash buyer, if you've ever done one of those.
I've got an answer for that, but I want to see if anyone else has anyone else experienced any of that also. Well, we got some shy people on here this morning. All right. A couple things there. When you're a wholesaler, first of all, I have never once ever wholesaled out a property to somebody where they had to go get a loan. And the reason why is, like, for me, whenever I go into a property, I tell people I bring two things to the table: speed and cash. Okay. There's no banks, there's no appraisals, there's no inspections, none of that stuff. Now, a majority of the properties that I buy, perfect example, like we're buying one in Greece. House caught fire, and we know the house is worth. The house next door sold for over 200,000, and we're buying it for way below 100. And even though we're getting it for a great price, even if I wanted it, like for us to buy it or wholesale it, whichever way I go, or if I wholesale to somebody else, they want to go to a bank. No bank is going to give somebody a loan on a house that caught fire. It's not going to happen. Okay. And then most of the properties that we buy at wholesale, usually there's some issues. Not all of them. Typically there's a reason why they need to sell a property pretty quickly. And usually that means they can't go get a loan for it, or, whatever. Sometimes it's issues in regards to divorce, regards to death, regards to whatever it is. Okay. But you have to be very careful with that. And if it's a good enough deal, Shaquana, they should be able to go to a hard money lender and get the money. And then if they want to fix it up and then refinance it down the road, I would suggest that. Okay. Because
Gotcha. Makes sense.
yeah, your sellers all of a sudden see, yeah, I got to bring in the bank, and then the bank could take 60, 75 days to close. Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking the process of just like how long that would take, and then also like trying to just associate your fees and in the midst of doing all of that.
Yeah.
So it seems like it could get a little sticky.
Yeah, yeah. And banks aren't going to pay wholesale fees. They're not going to do that. You have to be able to add that on somehow, some way. They're going to be like, well, first of all, they're not going to be dealing with you because you technically don't own the house. You may have a contract on it. But yeah, so you got to be very, you have to make sure there's a good enough spread on the property where, and plus you got to be able to work with people that can close. Yesterday, I called on somebody, which they were looking for a flip, and but when I went over it with them, it was too much for them to handle. And I knew it would have taken, they would have been underwater, and then for them to go get the money, they would have been able to get the money, but it would have come and bit them. It would have come and bit them on the rear end, on the back end of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I could have sold it to them, no problem. They didn't have to go to a bank. But it's that but word that will kill a deal. So I didn't want to do that. So I tell people it's straight cash. I'm bringing you a fantastic deal. It's straight cash.
Joe, when you refinance with a house that was purchased in cash using hard money or whatever, does the bank give you the amount of equity that you put into it, including the cost that you put in to fix it up?
It depends on what you paid for it. Typically, for me, all my buy and holds I've purchased at 50 cents, at 50% or less. That's me. That's my safe zone. Okay. And so what happened was when these are buy and holds, I didn't have the money that I needed to buy them. But there was enough of a spread on there where the hard money lender was comfortable enough. And then they knew what they were going to be worth. And then when I went to the bank, I already owned them. So not only was I able to refinance it out, I had a big enough spread, and then I was able to pull some money out also and have cash, be able to pay off the lender, lower my payments, and I still had a good amount of equity left. I could have pulled out way more, but that's my safe zone. Some people, they want to be able to go in and they want to pull out everything that they can, and that's fine. You can do that. Again, what works for me may not for you, and vice versa. Some people take, hey, I want to be able to pull out a couple $100,000 and invest that. That's a great idea too. Just be regimented and don't go spend, I got some extra money, let's go to the casino, or, you do stupid things with it. But
yeah, the banks will lend on whatever the property value is. So
Gotcha.
if
Okay.
you get it to the ARV and you do the work and they show up with an appraisal and the appraisal comes back at what you thought your ARV was going to be, you're good to go. Sometimes the banks show up and they do an appraisal and you're not even close to what their number is. Like you thought it was going to be worth 220 and it's worth 150, then, do your numbers still work? Or are you going to end up renting it? So you just got to watch and make sure that it's not a Zillow or truly a estimate, because it ain't going to work out well for you, because those are awful.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Andy's 100% right. I mean, I did one where it was 9 properties. I owed somewhere around 450, 475. I don't remember what the heck it was, but the appraisal came in at over 1.1 million. So they were like, so the numbers worked.
That's the way you want it to come out.
Yes. Yeah. And to top it off, like for me, that fit my model because I was able to also pull out $100K, and it put me at a little over, I think it was like right around 600,000, wherever the heck it was. I don't remember. but I was only leveraged by about 52 cents on the dollar. So I had a big enough spread on the property. That was for me. I could have pulled out more. So the numbers worked on that one. So I always want to make sure that when you go to refinance it out, I talked to a guy who was going to buy a property and it was worth about 120, and he was going to have to come up with what the heck was it there? I think it was like 100 or 110 or whatever. We went over the numbers, and I told him when he went to go refi, when he had to go refi that out, he was going to have to come up with about $18,000 to $20,000 out of his pocket within a year. And I asked him, "Do you have that money now?" He goes, "No." And his profit on that house would have been somewhere around $300 to $400 a month. So even if he saved everything, he's gonna have what, $4,000 to $5,000 saved up. I go, "Can you come up with the other 15?" He goes, "Nope." I go, "You're gonna be in trouble." So I told him, you have to get that for way, 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 way lower to be able to make the numbers work. So I think he had to be somewhere right around, I think we figured between $70,000 and $80,000 is what he needed to buy that property for, in order for him to be able to refinance that out down the road, Caitlin.
Okay.
Yep. The biggest thing you need to remember right now is that the Burr method doesn't work the way it did 2 years ago, because your interest rates are making your debt service too high to be able to withdraw equity and pay yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not getting it for 50 cents on a dollar, you're not going to be able to basically take any payment to get out of that when you refinance it. So like all the cool podcasts and everything were great at the time. That business model is dead, and people are having a hard time even getting DSCR loans now on stuff that they bought 2 years ago, because they can't get, like, if it's an Airbnb or whatever, occupancy rates are down. They're not cash flowing to a point where the numbers are hitting the 1.2 that you need to get that loan. So it's a different game now, and everybody has to be real sure that they're going off of current information.
Yep. And a lot of these people are like, "Oh, this is great. Everything's selling for such high prices." But, especially on the flips, which we get a chance, I'm going to talk about, flips are 4, 5, 6 months down the road by the time you get done. Where's the market going to be? You want to be holding a hot potato? I don't. Okay. So if I buy, like that one over there on Mill Road, the one over there we're buying out there in Greece. Fantastic area, great area. House sold for over $200,000. Even if the house sells for $40,000 less, $50,000 less, we're still going to make money on it. I'm not counting on the maximum. I'm counting on the minimum. I'm hoping for the maximum, counting on the minimum. Okay. Where other people are counting on the maximum and hoping on the maximum, and they're paying way above and beyond. And then next thing you know, they're barely breaking even, or just making barely enough.
Yeah, you need a couple exit strategies. Even if you're not exiting, you need a plan B to, like, okay, well, I can't Airbnb this, so maybe I can midterm rental this on Furnished Finder, or maybe I can, rent this to an actual tenant, or maybe I can sell it. Like, you need to have multiple plans at this point, because the market is so weird. You don't know what it's going to be like in 6 months.
Exactly.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Leslie. Go ahead.
No, you finish.
No. I was going to ask someone had any more. I want people to ask more questions.
Okay. I guess calculating the ARV. Is there a formula that you guys have worked out? Because I can go and I can look and I take a guess, and I really don't know how accurate I am.
I mean, honestly, you just do it the same way the real estate agents do. You do the same way the appraisers do. You look at the condition of the house, the year it was, the year it was built, and what's been done to it, how updated it is, and what's been in the local market. It's all driven by comps. And right now, comps are weird because they're going off of stuff that was getting financed at 3.5%. And now the interest rates doubled. So what does that mean? And in commercial, interest rates go up, cap rates go up, prices come down. Same thing should be happening in residential, but it's not because people are still buying homes and there's still no inventory on market in Rochester. So the math is really effing weird right now, and it's hard to figure out, which is where Joe's point about having a cushion is really the important part.
Yep. Yep. And Leslie, one of the things that I always do now, I always want to see when that property, that comparable that you're using, when did that sell? I want to know what it was originally listed for, and I want to know what the closed or the sold price was. Okay, because that's going to tell me a lot. I definitely go with the agent in regards to numbers. A week and a half ago, I talked to a guy. He's doing wholesaling. He doesn't live here. He's out of state. And he sent over to me this house, and he goes, "Oh, this thing's got to be worth, I think he said around 350, 400,000, wherever the heck it was. Here's the comps. Here's what's going on." And I'm like, okay. And for me, I like to go with like kind houses. And I found out the house that he was trying to wholesale to me was from part of it, because it had additions to it. Part of it was from 1850. The comps were mansions that were built in the last 20, 25 years. Okay? You can't do that. And I could have bought this house for, he was telling, "Oh, this is a great deal." He was great. It's right, somewhere right around 160. And I go, "Look, for me, respectfully, the numbers don't work for me." He was going by price per square foot. Yes, you can do that. At the same time, when you have 50-year difference in a age of a house, there's certain expectations when you're dealing in those kinds of numbers when it comes to a property. They don't want to see a small 6-foot, ceiling. They want to see big ceilings. They want to see, bigger stuff. So be very, very careful about that. I mean, Leslie, how are you getting your comps? Are you just using Zillow, or are you actually using a real estate agent?
Well, I've done both, but I would like to use Zillow and try to my best to get the equal comparison as to how much work may need to be done, location, and see what's out there. And then other times when I was working with an agent, I have used their input as well. But I mean, I'm trying. Well, a couple of times I've gone and I was trying not to use an agent because I'm trying to keep everything down.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you have an agent that you work with and you brought them properties, they should want to be able to help. Say, "Hey, listen, just do me a quick favor. What do you think this would cost if I'm going to use you to sell this?" And then even if you don't use them, they know you're bringing them properties. And most real estate agents are like, "Yeah, I can tell you, it doesn't take them that long, as long as you're not calling them every single day and you're not using them for anything."
Yeah.
I've had agents who have told me, I've had people call me up and they never use me, for selling their properties or buying anything off the MLS. They just want to use me for their price, and then they end up selling it themselves. Be honest with the guy. Tell him, or either that, or say, "Hey, listen, if you can help me out, I'll pay you," or whatever. I mean, it's many different ways to do it. Just make it worthwhile for the realtor.
Okay. But so you think an agent is probably one of the better ways to go?
In this market, I want to be sure. If I'm not sure, 1% doubt, I'm out. If I got any doubt, I'm out. I don't care. Okay. I'm going to look at I'm going to look at 2 houses today. One's in the 19th ward. The other one's out in North Chili. One in the 19th ward, I know the area. I know where I got to be. The one in North Chili, I needed to find out what the maximum would be to sell this house. So that way I can reverse engineer my numbers. I can extrapolate where I need to be And because the guy, he took on the property, he got in over his head. It's costing him a lot of money. He just wants to dump it. So I'm going to go there. And I got that. My business partner, he's a real estate agent. I said, hey, here's the address. I need to know what the numbers are. And at least that way, I'd rather be sure. Understand?
Okay. All right. Thanks.
I'm just going to remind everybody that in 2021, the Wall Street Journal had an article about Zillow not being able to accurately forecast home values. And it cost them billions of dollars in iBuying mistakes.
Yep.
They haven't been right about a single prediction they've made in the last 5 years. I don't think just because it's popular that it's a good source of data. Just saying. It's easy, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah. You know, I've had people I know got burned off of that, Andy. And when the market's super hot and crazy, sometimes you can get away with it. When the market starts getting tight and, prices start dropping, inventory goes up, you really got to be much better with your ARVs. You have to repair values on the properties. And I don't care if you're doing commercial or residential. You really have to take that into account. By the way, anyone have any other questions, please?
Yeah, I have another question. As a cash buyer, what spreads are you typically looking for? I know that's probably a little bit difficult to answer, but what's the profit margin you're looking at when when you're going into a deal comfortably?
Well, let me put it out to everybody else. What's everybody else looking for a profit margin?
I'm going to conservatively say as high as you can get before people walk away from the table. That's just me.
Well,
I was gonna agree with that. I guess it just depends if you're looking at it and you think it's gonna be worth it for somebody for their time and what all they have to do in the house and how much they're gonna spend, and so factoring in all of those factors, and if this person is not looking for something that they want to fix and flip to be able to gain money, or if this is someone that wants to rent this property out and they're just looking to do some cosmetic repairs and be done. So I guess it just really depends.
well, everybody has different parameters. I know some people like, I want to be 20%. So if it's $150,000 house, they want to make 30 grand. If it's 20, 40, 300,000 want to be 60. Can you always make that? No, they want to be somewhere in that area there. And they do that just to be able to cover their butts, because let's just say you screw up by 50%. Instead of making 30, you're going to make $15,000. Okay. I know people who are doing stuff on the lower end type deals where they're flipping $50,000, $60,000 properties, but they've only got $30,000, $35,000 into the property. So if they're going to make $10,000 or $15,000 on a $30,000 investment, that's a very good return. If you're going to spend, if you're into a property for $120,000 and you're going to make 10 grand, you're playing it way too tight, way too close. Okay. And I've said it before where some people, when things were going crazy last year, some people are like, hey, you know what? Instead of hitting a home run, maybe if I make it to second base on a property, I'll make some money. I want to be third base or home, because something happens or I miss something or something screws up. Like basically, like last year when materials took off through the roof, and what used to be a $25,000 flip was actually $40,000. And you were figuring on making 20 grand on that flip. Your $20,000 just went down to 5. Okay. So there's many different factors. For me, depending on the property. the higher the number, the more I want to have that comfort level.
To piggyback off of that, I had a question about just like repairs and estimating that. So I know you've been doing this for a while, but just like as if you can think back to maybe like the first time you really started wholesaling, how did you go about like estimating your repair values? Because I typically like to have that, when I'm bringing a deal to somebody, kind of like want to get as close as possible to what their actual numbers would be to fix up certain areas in the house, or like if I find one that's a little bit more distressed. I'm not super um like where I've done a million deals where I'm like, okay, I know what that's going to cost. But what advice would you have for someone that is like, newer doing this and they're trying to come up with like an estimate as to, what needs to be done in the house to bring that number to that cash buyer to say, hey, this is what needs to be done in this property?
Like for me, I came from a construction background, so I had a little bit of a head start on that, I guess. I just price wise, I had to learn, and you will learn. Go with somebody who does wholesaling. You do a few things here. If you're a newer wholesaler, partner up with somebody who is a wholesaler, or find somebody who's a potential cash buyer and say, hey, listen, here's the deal. I'm going to find a wholesale deal. I'll sell you the property. I want a referral fee. Okay. Put that out front, but you're going to take them with you. And if they know the numbers, say, yeah, Shaquana, the roof's going to cost $10,000 to $12,000. Floors, there's 1,000 square foot of floors. You're $3 a square foot. There's $3,000. Regular windows could be around $350 with labor. So you do the math on that. Does it need siding? And then there's other things, furnaces, hot water tanks. Does it need a certificate of occupancy? Things you're going to learn. Okay. You're not going to get everything all at once. You definitely want to be as close as possible, because, I've gone into properties where I had this one time, this wholesaler, was a house in Webster, great place. He was a newer wholesaler, and he didn't really go downstairs in the basement. Well, he did. I always bring a flashlight. Oh, he goes, I don't worry about it. I got a light on my cell phone. Okay. And I go to the house, and the house is leaning. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on downstairs. I go, check downstairs. He goes, yeah, it's not bad. Okay. I go, let me go look. I bring my flashlight downstairs. All of a sudden, I look on the wall. First of all, I go downstairs. There's water all in the basement, and it hadn't been raining, but you see water's coming in. So then I take my flashlight and I flash it over there to the left, and I see something. I'm going, holy smokes. It was a crack that was so big on the wall, I could stick my fingers into the block. He missed that. Okay. When you see water, automatic red flag. He didn't realize that because he just didn't know. Okay. Now he wanted to wholesale that out to me. And I said, hey, listen, come on down here, take a look at this. Here's what's going on. We did not end up buying that house because the offer he had made to them originally was not going to work. So what'll happen is that if you don't go, if you don't have experience, go with somebody who does, because you're going to offer them one price. And then next thing you know, when you bring somebody who does know what's going on, they're like, listen, this is going to cost way more than you expected. And then the sellers are going to get extremely upset, especially if the sellers already started packing. If it's a house that they own and they started packing, and they're like, well, okay, we're going to need this money that you're going to be paying us to buy another property or to be able to move on. And I've seen that happen time and time again.
I'll just chime in with, don't bring in a general contractor or a remodeling company to look at those things either, because they're going to pad all sorts of margins on materials and all sorts of margins for themselves. And if they're not like a crew that specializes in doing investment properties, and you're going to run the job, you're going to have no realistic numbers are going to come from that. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
I know one guy, he's got he's got a couple different crews. He's got crews for the nicer parts or the nicer areas that he does, and he has crews that just do lower end type properties. Because some of the guys who are used to doing, granite and all these other beautiful bathrooms and spending, $20,000 on a bathroom or on a kitchen, you bring them to a lower end property and they're oh, we got to spend 10 grand on this kitchen where someone else is going to spend 2,500 bucks. So they they overfix the place or overestimate what it's going to cost because they're used to doing the nicer areas. So
Gotcha.
And by the way, you're going to go through a ton of contractors. I've been doing this a long time. We're still going through contractors. We just had to get rid of a contractor about a week and change ago. Okay.
Thank you.
Questions? Any other questions people want to go over or people they were thinking about? And it doesn't just have to be on what we're talking about right now, by the way. We want to keep this live interactive.
I'll ask this. Why do you go through so many contractors?
Contractors are very busy. A lot of them are shorthanded. Some of them will hire people if they can fog up a mirror. They'll hire them, hoping that they're going to learn. And the problem is, while they're trying to learn, you're their guinea pig. So they'll do crappy work. They'll overcharge. It's tough to find good contractors. You talk to anybody who's dealing with whatever trade. I don't care if you're dealing with carpenters, electricians, plumbers, whatever. They're very short-handed, and finding good ones is tough. And then you want to try keeping your costs down. So you're trying to pay them as less as possible, and you got other people offering them higher prices. The guy that my partner ended up firing about a week and change ago, he sent him over to a property, and he knew what it was supposed to cost. And instead of getting a price up front from him, which I always do, he said, we've working with him for maybe about a month or two, whatever. But he ended up charging him double. And we were going to give this guy we were giving him work, and he had a lot more work lined up. We're like, you know what? If you're going to treat us this way, you're out. We just don't want to screw around like that. And you'll get people, hey, give us half. We don't do half anymore. Get started. I'll write you a check. I'll do either quarters, or thirds. If we know we've got a good reputation, good working relationship, I'll work with them. Okay. And, nobody grows up saying, I can't wait to do drywall for the rest of my life. They do it because they have to.
So I guess it's all just trial and error.
Right now, the market is worse than I've seen it ever. I've been in construction for 25 years, and I've never seen the labor issues that are there today. That it's nuts. Even high end stuff, really nice, really expensive McMansion 6,000, 7,000 square foot houses. You can't get people to show up 5 days a week. It's freaking crazy. It's stupid. Nobody wants to do anything. I don't know what's going to happen a year from now when their savings are gone and they've maxed out all their credit cards, but it's freaking bonkers.
Yep.
Everybody's going to be back to work.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you find a good contractor, what's funny is that we've got one guy who works really well with us, and I've had a couple people say, "Hey Joe, can I talk to your contractor?" No. We're already backed up. All of a sudden, we want to give you our contractor. I'm sorry, but can't do that. And because we're having difficulties finding them, and if we all and for us, by the way, too, we have a good contractor. We're like, hey, you know what? We incentivize them. We're like, listen, if we can keep it under this price for a certain amount of time, we'll pay you above and beyond. We'll give you part of the profits. So it gives them also an incentive. Okay. So if you're good to them, they'll be good to you. Okay. Questions? Anyone else have any other questions that they want to ask about anything else?
Joe, I had a question about bank-owned properties. How would one get their hands on any of these? Is that just, reaching out to the banks individually and trying to work with them that way, or how does one do that?
So you're talking about houses that have already been foreclosed on, Caitlin.
Yes.
And they're in the bank's possession. Okay.
Yep.
Typically, you're not going to be able to get to them. Typically. I did it once, but that was because it was a local bank. Okay. Like if you're talking about Chase, Bank of America, typically they deal with hedge funds and REITs, big places that'll buy, $50, $100 million worth of real estate. And most of them, you got to contact what's called the asset manager. That's who you have to contact. That's kind of like you can get a hold of the asset manager. Good luck to you. But then if you can say, okay, I want to buy one property, they'll never talk to you ever again. Okay. Unless it's a local bank, like here locally, Canada National Bank, you have Family First, Lions, all those guys.
It's Pittsford. I've known Pittsford to do some. So.
Yep. I did one. I bought 15 of them from CMB Bank. They actually had 33, 35 of them. I wanted all of them, but I was only able to get 15 of them. And that was the only time.
I see some of them listed online as bank owned, and there's a price attached to them. Is that like the firm price, or is there room to negotiate on those prices usually?
Typically, right now with the way stuff's selling, the banks know that they're going to get their asking price unless they're sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a ton of foreclosures. Now foreclosures, there aren't as many. They're starting to gain traction again. There are more and more foreclosures coming. But I typically don't go after foreclosures that are listed on the MLS. The bank has to list them technically on the MLS. Plus they know they're going to get the most bang for their buck. Okay. And usually there's a ton of people bidding on them. If you see a $200,000 house and it's a foreclosure and they're bidding it and they're starting at $100,000, everyone and their grandma is going to go after it. The problem is that as a flipper, you're not going to be able to compete against somebody who wants to buy it to live in it.
Right.
A homeowner, they'll pay $170,000. If they got to put 20 into it and they can get this house, then they'll be into it for 190. They'll be happy. Okay. If we were to buy it for 170, we had to put 20 into it as a flip. It doesn't work. It's tough to compete against them. Okay. Now I'm not saying don't try. Okay. Try. It's just that for me, I've never had right now with the way the market is, they're getting multiple bids. They're, typically they're getting over asking in especially in the suburbs.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm not telling you to not try, Caitlin. I'm not telling anybody to not try. The answer is always no, unless you ask. Say, hey, listen, I'm coming at this price, or just say, hey, call up the realtor, say, listen, I see this property's for sale. I see it's a foreclosure. Am I going to be wasting your time? Let's just say it's listed for 100 and your maximum is going to be 115, 120, whatever. Am I going to waste your time if I come in at 120?
Right.
Someone will be like, yes. Okay. And for me, I'm like, next, and I say, look, if things change, stay in touch with them or put in the offer. You never know. It doesn't hurt. I like to sort people out as fast as possible when it comes to that. Okay. Anybody else dealing with foreclosures? Anybody else ever bought a foreclosure here? Okay.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of foreclosures.
Oh, you did, Glenn?
Yeah, I bought them all at the courthouse. I bought 5 of them on Exchange Street.
Oh, at the auction.
Yes.
That's
Foreclosure auction. Yeah, they were made out really well on them. but you got to be handy, and you got to be ready to buy something with boards on the windows.
Now, did you flip those or did you buy those as rentals?
I bought, still holding them, but I'm thinking about doing some selling now. So
Okay. Now, when you bought them as holds, did you figure, okay, you know what, I can go a little bit higher because these are going to be long-term holds? Or how did you figure?
no, not actually. I was just looking at something I could get into cheap. I knew needed a lot of work, and I can do all the plumbing and electrical and all that stuff myself. So, well, I could at the time, but not very good at it now. But
So,
yeah,
now-
I was getting into them cheap, and I knew they were definitely below market value. And
so these suburbs, what were they?
they're city properties, yeah.
And how many people you think were there that you were competing against typically on an average when you go to the auction?
On the inner city, there's less competition. Looking at the suburbs, yeah, it goes crazy.
Yeah. Now, when you were at the court, you were buying them at the courthouse steps.
Yes, yeah.
So, how many people average do you think were there?
Depending how many properties were listed, some days we'd have a huge crowd, and if there's only 1 or 2 properties, only the people that were listed interested would show up. So
Out of the times that you went, how many times do you think? What was your ratio for getting a property? If you went there 10 times, would you get a property 5 out of 10, 8 out of 10? Where were you at with that?
that's where you definitely have to have some patience, because there was a lot of times I went, in fact, I'd say probably 90% of the time I'd leave empty-handed, sometimes without even bidding on a place. So
Okay, yeah, probably because it went up too high.
yes, yep, went too high. Well, and also you've got to deal with the banks. They'll have their minimum starting price sometimes,
Hmm.
but some of the rougher properties, they would just start them at maybe $1,000. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
know,
a lot of these places I bought, like I said, they had boards on the windows. They needed electrical updates. They needed all new plumbing and redo the kitchens and all that stuff. But I figure I'm doing that anyway.
So you already threw that. You already threw that into your equation.
Yes, yeah, new windows, and there was a couple times I got surprised.
Yeah.
I bought one property that there was no way of knowing this. Well, I guess maybe if I really done my research, I could have known it, but they went and upgraded the whole the water main on the street. And if it's a vacant property, when they're redoing the main, they don't automatically reconnect the water line going into the house.
Oh,
So that was like $5,000 to have the city come out and reconnect it.
wow.
Yeah, so that stung. And then on top of that, the water line from the street into the house, which I'm responsible for, was
Mhm.
another $2,200 to have that done.
Wow.
So that
Wow.
was probably my worst deal, but it's a great property and I'm making lots of money off it. I've by far exceeded everything I put into it. So,
Oh, that's great. Wow.
but it's one of those you just got to hold on to longer. So
Yep. Yep.
there's
Yeah.
always little surprises like that I'm not sure if you can really anticipate or
Hmm.
do some research on.
That's great. Wow. That's
But everything else, was good deals. Went above and beyond what I really needed to do, but to do that, you get better tenants and you can get more rents.
So how many of you bought at the auction total average? I don't need an exact. What do you think total?
Oh, 5.
Right. How many times did you go to get those 5? Not what do you just approximately?
There was probably 6 months, 6 or 8 months that I went, and I was going on average maybe every other day or three times a week.
3 times a week. So you're doing about 12 times a month. So you went about 72 times.
Yeah.
You get the 6 properties, but those 6
But-
properties
Oh
make
yeah.
a amount of money,
Yeah.
and sure beats having to get a job.
Definitely. Yeah. And after I pretty much got the 5, I focused on them. I haven't been back since, but I have been watching them. And a lot of times I would just go down, for sport to see what was selling and who was paying what for what. And,
Mhm.
in the suburbs, you've got some big players that at the time were just
Mhm.
buying everything that was, they
Yeah.
had deep pockets and they were buying everything. And I'm sure they've made out quite well, because I'm talking 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago when I was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things weren't going as crazy as they are now. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've had people ask me, how come you don't go to the auctions? I personally don't go because, thankfully thank God I don't have to, we're busy enough where we're getting stuff that comes in. I don't have to worry about competing against people like you, Glenn, and everybody else there at the auctions.
Like Nunzio.
Nunzio,
yes,
right,
yes.
and Mark Camarana, all those guys. Everybody, big city,
They-
small world.
They were all there. Yes.
I
Yeah.
know they were. And I was like, you know what?
And I was kind of shocked at some of the prices they were paying for some of the stuff, but like I say, it's probably, some of it's probably doubled in value since they bought it. So
yeah, at the
they knew
time,
far
though,
better than I did.
yeah, at the time, look, you go with what you think is right at the time for yourself, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not with what ifs. So
Well, I wanted to buy cheap, and my intent was to hold.
yeah,
I've got a lot of experience, with rentals and renting, so not afraid to be a landlord.
and you can make great money with foreclosures. Great money with them as long as you get them for a good price and figure out, and I bought many foreclosures. I bought a lot of them, especially with the short sales, pre-foreclosures. I
Yeah.
bought some fantastic opportunities. So if you can get to them before the bank gets them to do a short sale, which is a whole other subject, that is the way to go. Because then it's just you, seller, and the bank, not everybody else on the MLS, not everybody else is going to the
Well,
that's going to the
there are
auctions.
pros and cons to that too, because sometimes they would start the property very low, and it would go for much less than they were
Mhm.
anticipating. So
Sometimes,
auctions they're a crapshoot, yeah, because you just never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to be interested. And there was a couple properties I was bidding on that it was just myself and one other guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I tell people, listen, go take a look at it and get the experience and see what's going on.
Definitely.
People
Definitely.
have-
I like to go down there just every once in a while, just to kind of get a pulse of what's happening.
I told Nunzio once, I'm just going to go there just to bid the prices up and leave, not to buy. So, but
And
luckily,
we hate people like you, Joe.
yes, you guys would hate me there. And thank God I'm busy enough where I don't have time to go there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
one of these days I may go down there. I've only been there a few times, so, but it is what it is. It's all right.
And not
But,
all these
the-
properties are vacant, right? There's still the possibility of tenants being in there.
Yes. Yeah, I did buy a few with tenants in there. I prefer them vacant.
Especially with the laws right now.
Yeah, with the laws nowadays, yeah, you want them vacant.
Yeah.
I prefer them vacant with all the copper plumbing gone, because I'm going to replace it with PEX anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
What about the tax deed auctions? Have you guys had any experience with those?
those are insane. the City of Rochester property auctions.
Yeah.
And the last I heard, they want 5,000 down now.
You need to have a $5,000 deposit to walk in
Yes.
there. Yes.
Yeah.
Because there was what, 400 plus people who showed up there, some ridiculous, crazy.
And I think you had to have it in cash, from what I understood.
I can't remember. I knew a guy who he would average 25 to 28 houses every single time he would go. And then the last few times he'd get like 3 or 4, maybe 5.
There are so many people going to those and bidding up. Yeah, they were just bidding. I stopped going because they were just bidding prices way beyond that I was ever going to pay for that property.
Yep.
So it just was a waste of my time.
Gotcha. I think that's probably what's going on all over. Seems like.
Everybody's getting involved in real estate. There's a big romance with it. Understand that. So, we're not telling people to not go. Get busy enough where you don't have to go. Okay. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, it's important to I get the listings from Daily Record. Every Monday they put out a foreclosure listing.
Mm-hmm.
Print out the list and go anything that you're interested in, make sure you drive by it, see it, make notes, go to the auction. Do your homework first, go to the auction. You have to do that quite a bit to get a feel for it. You can't just walk in there. In fact, there's a lot of, there was more than one instance where there was somebody that bought a property thinking there was a house still on it. And it turned out to be a vacant lot.
Yeah. Oh, I knew somebody that they were looking at a house and they were looking at the wrong street. Had the same name, but one was road and the other one was street, and they thought they were buying the one that ended with road. Ended up being the one that was with street, they were like horrified. They walked away. They left the deposit. They're like, I'm not closing on this house. There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, just 2 little letters, R&D or ST. Cost them a couple of grand.
Yeah.
No. Questions, anybody? Any other questions? So I want to go over real quick because I know we've only got about we got like less than 15 minutes here. I wanted to touch upon some of the flipping, actually, because I've been talking to people, and just to be able to and I'm not just talking about the mechanics of flipping here, okay? And we touched upon some of what earlier. Basically, a lot of the people that are buying some of these flips, they're still hoping and praying that the numbers are going to be crazy, which is great. If you can get it, go ahead and do it. Some of the people that I've been talking to, I think, are playing it way too tight, way too close, and there's no room for error. They're trying to get a deal, especially if you're a flipper and the only way you make money is from flipping. They're trying to bend the numbers to make them work. Whereas before they were like, you know what, I got to make 30,000. Like, you know what, this may make $12,000 to $15,000. And if everything works out, some of these guys are just trying to keep their, some of their people busy, and sometimes, if they have other projects going on, they can dollar cost average it, but not everybody is in that situation. Okay. First of all, who else is flipping or is buying flip properties on the Zoom calls? Anybody doing that?
I'm not, but I hope to be in the future.
Okay. Anybody else? There's nobody else who's doing flip properties on here. I'm kind of shocked. So, some of the stuff that, and I actually took down some notes over here in regards to, with the flips. And this also goes for, I don't care if you're wholesaling, whatever the heck it is you're doing here. Especially some of the newer people. A lot of them fail to take into account holding costs. And that also, and I'm also talking about the wholesalers, not just the people who actually just buy and flip the properties. For me, when I look at a property, not only do I figure out, okay, you got buying, closing costs, holding costs, which is gas, electric, insurance, if you have to borrow the money, the interest you're paying on there. And then you also got to figure out for your end buyer the commissions that they're going to have to pay the real estate agent, and then also if you're wholesaling it out, your fee. Okay, a lot of them don't figure out holding costs. They're like, well, what do you mean holding? Or closing costs? They're not even figuring that out. Okay, that is majorly important. And like for me, and I'll go over it very quickly. I'm going to use a very simple example. If the house is worth $100,000, and let's just say even if I just want to buy it as a flip, and this can also be used by wholesalers too. For me, if it's a $100,000 house and it needs 20 grand worth of work, there's 80 closing costs. Let's just figure at make it an even 5, okay? Because whether it be because you got to reimburse the seller for their taxes, all the other stuff. So now you're at 80, you're down to $75,000. Then you have your holding costs, so 4 to 6 months. If you have to, and I'm figuring if you have to borrow the money, okay. And if you're borrowing it at $100,000, you're averaging about $1,000 a month in interest-only payments. If gas and electric to heat the place or whatever you're going to do with it, there's another $200, and then you got insurance. So even if you're at $1,500 a month, I'm going to overestimate here. So let's just make it another 5, whatever. Okay, it's probably going to be a little bit more than that, but let's just say 5. So now we're down to $70,000. On a $100,000 property, you got to pay commissions. That's going to be 6. Now you're down to $64,000. And then let's just say you want to make $5,000. Now you're down to $59,000. And let's just say your buyer wants to make 20 grand. Now you're down to $39,000. And then another $2,000 for them to close on it when they go to sell it. Now your purchase price is $37,000. If you're not wholesaling it and you're buying it direct, you could buy it for somewhere right around $40,000 to $42,000. Okay. Failure to understand that is going to crush you. And I've seen people not think about, okay, oh yeah, I forgot about holding costs. Okay, there's another $4,000 or $5,000, and then so think of it this way. Let's just say you're going to make. Let's just say you're like, you know what? I'm going to buy this property because I need to buy this, and you figure I'm going to make $20,000 profit on this. Okay, and that's after commissions, after everything else. What I like to make sure of, and it's happened to me before, the bank may say, hey, you know what, Joe? Your buyer, we'll give them the loan, but you need to do what's called seller's concessions. You need to give back 3%. Okay. So 3%, that's another $3,000. Okay. Do that on a $200,000 house. That's going to be $6,000. So, your profit's going to drop. And to top it off too, what they also don't take into account is on $20,000 profit on a house, you're going to pay capital gains. I like to figure 28 to 32%. So let's just say 30%, that's $6,000. So you're really going to net somewhere around 14 grand. Okay. And I've had end buyers that I've wholesale properties to take that into account. They're like, Joe, why am I going to do this property, spend 4 to 6 months on it, and only make $14,000 after taxes? Okay. So take that into account. Now, some of these guys, they can offset their capital gains because they also have other real estate where they have rentals and they can, their accountants can do stuff with it. I don't like to figure that. Okay. So you really need to make sure that you take all those numbers into account. Some people just figure, well, you know what? It's worth 100, and I'm just going to do repairs and my commission or my assignment fee or whatever it is I want to make. And they don't put that in there. And, if you're working with a property, you're only making $10,000 to $15,000 on a flip, which to me, I would never do. I'm not telling you to not do it. You're really playing with fire. Okay. Another thing that I'm seeing too, and Shaquana talked about this earlier, is trying to figure out what it's going to cost to fix up a house. I looked at a house in Henrietta about 3 weeks ago. It was referred to me. Lady was asking way too much money. She probably get somewhere between $180,000 and $200,000. She needed to sell it quick. She lived out of the country and she was sick and she just wanted to dump it. She lived in Belize and she was moving back to Georgia. Just wanted to dump it. Well, I went over there. The first guy who went over there, he goes, Joe, she wants too much money for me. And I said, well, let me go take a look. I told her, I think she wanted somewhere like around 150, 160. She thought that was a great deal. I said, listen, that's not going to work for me. Okay. Because the numbers, if it's worth 180 or whatever, and I got to do work to it, it's not going to work. So I went to the house. She goes, well, go take a look at it, meet my daughter, take a look at it, tell me what you think. And I said, all right, let me see what I can do for you. So I go inside the house and it definitely needed to be updated, the kitchen, the bathroom. But what really struck my curiosity was when I went downstairs in the basement. So I'm in the basement and I'm down there with a flashlight, and there's a lot of stuff down there. And because when I talked to the guy who referred it to me, for him, he goes, the numbers just don't work. Anything major? He goes, no. Okay. So I go down there and all of a sudden I look on the right side of the wall, which is the back part of the wall, and there's 3 extra braces that they call it that's holding up the house. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why is that right up against the wall? I said, okay, well, I said, I kept that, in my mind, and I went to the other side of the basement. There was a lot of stuff down there. And then there was 3 more on the other side. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. Something's not right. Because when I got there a couple of minutes early, and I was looking around, I was taking pictures, and all of a sudden I saw this little crack on the outside block on the wall, just a couple feet above the ground. I said, well, it could be something. We'll take a look. When I saw that it had 6 braces, I went back outside, and all of a sudden I went around the other side, and apparently they had problems with mice, and they sent an exterminator in. The exterminator went in there and filled all the cracks with a filler, with a foam filler. Some of the cracks were so big, it was incredible. It split the block right down the middle, so it was serious foundation issues. Okay. Originally, we wanted to go in and see about buying this house to flip it. And it was basically having a house with COVID and cancer because it was so bad. I looked around the house, and then we noticed there was just cracks all over the place. And I showed it to the daughter. Daughter goes, yeah, all of a sudden, this was going on, and the mice, she was one telling me this. So I ended up, I took the pictures and went off, and I called the mom who owned the property, and I asked her, I go, did you install those supports? She goes, nope. I go, did you have an inspection done? She goes, yes. I go, were those cracks there when you bought it? She bought this house 20 years ago. She goes, no. But over the last 7 to 8 years, as the cracks have really started to appear. But she didn't know anything about what was going on with the property. So long story short, my partner goes, you know what? That may be a decent rental. He goes, he can never sell that as a flip house because number one, it'll never pass an inspection. A home inspector will go there and he'll just red flag that thing. He won't even finish inspecting the house because there's no way, because it is foundation issues. So she went from like, I don't know, 150, 160, whatever the heck it was, down to 105. So that house went from being a flip house. He's going to buy it and he's just going to rent it out. He already knows his numbers. You know, he reverse engineered. He knows he's going to make, you know, $400 or $500 a month on it. For him, that will work. Okay. She knew that there was no way a bank would be able to go in there and give them a loan, which is why. And I told her, I said, listen, I go, we're not the ones who should buy that property from you. You know, because I went in right around, I think we're somewhere right around 95,000, whatever it was, maybe close to 100. But she goes, Joe, I need 105 so that we can cover closing costs, because she had no money to get out of this house. Okay. By the way, anybody have questions, you know, about what I'm talking about here?
No, I'm just listening.
So has anybody else even looked at a property lately and found anything above and beyond what they expected or what even the homeowners told them? I can't be the only one. I guess I am. Well, the point is, and I know we're just about out of time over here, because there's so much more we really got to get into when it comes to dealing with flipping the properties. Is make sure when you go to look at the property, your numbers, you leave room for error, and really understand when you see things that are out of the ordinary, you got to take that into account, and you have to be able to ask more questions. Okay. Because the homeowner didn't understand what was going on. And if you're asking the homeowner questions and they don't understand, they're not going to have a right or a good answer for you. In this case, I knew well enough to say, okay, I got to look on the outside. And when I explained to her what was going on, I said, listen, bring somebody in, they'll tell you. Don't take my word for it. And she goes, listen, I believe you. Okay. And by the way, we're going to be meeting live in about 2 weeks. I'm going to be getting more into talking about flipping houses, and we're going to be getting into more detail. Okay. Not just acquiring them, but also some of the things that we went over, and I'll go over a little bit more in regards to numbers. And then the key, more than anything else, is your ability to negotiate and be able to show the seller why you have to get it at your price, not at their price. And then to be able to have them actually agree with you. That is what's going to set you apart from everybody else. Okay. So I know it's just a little bit after 10:30, and we like to keep this, to basically 90 minutes, because I know people have things going on. I know some people probably calling in from work and who knows what and trying to listen in here. But I appreciate everybody, getting on this morning. Definitely get on the REIA website. Make sure you guys are there next Thursday night. There's going to be a ton of people there. Okay. And our next meeting is going to be live and in person. I appreciate everybody getting on. Go do some real estate. You guys have a great week. All right.
Is this saved somewhere? I know this was recorded.
It'll be posted up on YouTube probably next week, I would say. Yeah, it'll be on the REIA. There's a REIA YouTube channel. It'll be up on there.
Great, thanks.
You got it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. We'll see you later.
All right.
All right,
Come
thanks.
out. Go do real estate.
Yes.
Take care.
Mm-hmm.